I'm Deej, and I'm doing a series of short videos answering people's questions about sex and embodiment. So let's get into it. Question number 1. How can I access more pleasure? Well, there's a number of avenues I could take, I guess, to answer that question, but I'm a bit of a neuroscience geek, so I'll go down that avenue. Our bodies are not only hardwired for pleasure, they're hardwired to keep on learning and growing and expanding around all aspects of life, including pleasure. And part of the mechanism that does that is neuroplasticity. So the neurons are the cells in your brain and nervous system. And every time your body does anything, they have to communicate with each other to make that thing happen. So when you do something that you've never done before, neurons that have never communicated before have to communicate. And if you repeat that thing, they start to form more and more permanent connections until over time, when that thing you're doing through your body is repeated and repeated, they become what's called myelinated, which means the axon, part of the neuron, gets a sheath of fat around it. And why that's really useful is because once it's myelinated, it becomes a default circuit. So it's really hardwired in your body. But not only is it a default circuit, but it's a much faster circuit. So information and sensation flows much more rapidly through a myelinated circuit. What that means, though, when it comes to pleasure and eroticism, we quite naturally repeat things that feel good. And so over time, those things become hardwired in our bodies. But then that becomes our default circuit. So that becomes often if arousal kicks in or anything kind of erotic or sexual kicks in an out of awareness way, I might just, very often myself and most human beings are operating on their default circuitry. So what I need to do, the short answer to the question is, and what was the question again, how can I access more pleasure, is embrace curiosity and variety. And so by embracing curiosity and variety, by embracing variety, you're looking at doing new things through your body. Therefore, you're creating a situation where neurons which haven't communicated before with each other before have to communicate with each other. And then repeating that over time, you're creating new neural circuitry through your body. So literally more nerve stuff, new pathways for information and sensation and pleasure to flow. How do I know what to explore? Embrace your curiosity. And when we get into that curious vibe, we're also, and I won't go too much down this pathway because it would take me on a tangent, but we start, curiosity is active in the body when we feel safe and social. It's active in the body when we're in the part of the nervous system that activates when we feel safe and social. And you don't necessarily need another human being around to feel that way. But if you can get present, get kind of grounded, allow movement, and get curious for what sensation is present, what's around, how might, if this was self-practice, how might I breathe differently, move differently, touch differently, how might I play with sound and vibration, how might I embrace variety. So that's a relatively short answer to perhaps a complex question, but the short answer for me about how can I access more pleasure is to embrace curiosity and variety.